Hello everyone. Hello. I am having some issues with Twitter. I will rectify that in just a moment. How are we all? How's everyone doing? I hope we're all okay. I've got quite a few questions to run over this week, and I'm going to So I've got quite a few questions to run over this week, and I'm going to be chatting about my latest blog post, which would be dropping next week. I'm just trying to get onto Twitter. Okay. For some reason it wasn't working, but it looks like it's working now. Great. Okay. Hi guys. Hi Twitter. Hi everybody. Yay, I'm here. Okay. I won't get started straight away because I'm late at doing this, as I seem to be a lot. Sorry. And also, I got quite a bit to cover. I got my questions ready again. I was all prepared this week, just like I was last week. I'm getting good at this. Yay! Okay, so we're going to be talking all about, first of all, I'm going to answer all your questions, which are quite varied. There's a few different things. There's things about how to use escape rooms, how to make escape rooms, just some general questions about classroom setup when you're using them, which I will go over as well. And there's also some other questions. And then when we've done all that, I'm going to talk a bit about engagement for distance learning, to talk about how you can engage the students at a bit of a distance. Now, one of the things that I really want to cover is quite an important question. I'll come to it anyway because people have asked, so that's great. So we'll start off with my questions here. Thank you very much to everyone that asked me a question. I did put it on my stories, and I also asked you to DM me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. I will answer them in the live. If you have questions for me for next week, please do send me a message. You can send me on any of these platforms. I'm on all platforms at the moment. If you're watching me on Twitter, I'm really sorry about the quality of the lighting. Everyone else seems to be fine. Twitter seems to be having some issues. Sorry. Okay, anyway, I'm going to get straight on. So, first of all, I see that Facebook's got something going on. Sorry about this. See? Live problems. Live. There we go, I think. Sorry, Facebook. Now you can see me. Everyone can see me. Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry. Right, let's get started. So, first of all, someone said to me, do you recommend Boomcards? You mentioned you used them previously, but not anymore. Why? I do highly recommend Boomcards. I think that Boomcards are a great way to start making escape rooms if you've never done it before at all. You do have to pay for membership if you want to make them and sell them, or if you want to have tracking of your if you want to have some tracking in your classroom, in your students. So I do recommend Boomcards. That's a really good question. The reason I don't personally use them anymore, even though I would recommend them, is because they're kind of like a gateway to these sort of things. Like you start with Google Forms, Google Apps. You probably move on to Boomcards. From Boomcards, you'll start getting a bit more interested and do other things. But I'll talk about that because there's another question about that. So yes, even though I don't use Boomcards anymore, I do highly recommend them if you want to play escape rooms with your kids, particularly in distance learning. They're easy to use, they're easy to make, and yes, you do have to pay for membership, but I don't think it's very much. And if you don't want to necessarily track data, you don't have to pay for membership, it's free. So there you go, it depends it depends what you want to do. But yes, I recommend Boomcards, even though I don't use them anymore, yes. And when I say I don't use them anymore, I still have a lot of resources in Boomcards. So if you are looking for some escape room type resources, then I've got some on Boomcards that you can use. But yeah, I don't make anything new for Boomcards because I'm on other platforms now. So that's the answer to that question. I do recommend them, but I don't use it. Yeah, okay. And that leads quite nicely to my next question, which is, which platform do you use? Well, so I'll talk you through the whole journey, because, I'm here and I can, it's my life. First of all, I started to make escape rooms with Google Forms. I made one, maybe two. That was it. I found them really limiting because you have to type all the things you want in, you have to put the questions in, and then you have to, they have to put their answers into a form, and then that form takes them off somewhere else. It's not very interactive, and it's quite limiting. It really wasn't what I wanted for my game. So if you are just starting out and you want to use Google Apps or Google Forms or Google Sites, please do. There's lots of really great resources out there. It's a great way to start making escape rooms, but it is limiting. And it's very text heavy, so you will have to do a lot of typing. Your students will have to do a lot of typing. There's not a lot of click and interaction that way. Older kids, it's probably a good idea. It wasn't for me. Then so from Google Forms and Google Sites, I moved to Boomcards, and they are fantastic. You can put objects into the card. Boomcards are they're like a card. You put the background on, and then you can put objects into the background, and when they click on them, something happens. So they click on, for example, the door, and they might get asked, what's the code to open the door? And then they have to go off and find the code somewhere else. It's a good way to start making escape rooms. And I did a lot of escape rooms in Boomcards, first of all, and they do really well, and they're fine for basic need. After Boomcards, after playing with them for quite a while, I got to a point where I wanted my escape rooms to be, you could pick things up and take them off somewhere else and then use them on something in the game. For example, if you were learning how to, in science, for example, if you were learning about atoms and you wanted them to pick up the nucleus and put it in the diagram of the atom, you would need to walk around the game. So I couldn't do that in Boomcards, and I need to go further. So I moved on to the platform Java. Java's very, very good. I'm still using Java now. It's great it requires a bit of coding, not a lot of coding, and you can easily manipulate things, you can make things, and it doesn't take a great deal of previous knowledge to use. After Java, I moved on again because I needed more scope within my games. I wanted them to be multiplayer for a start, which you cannot do with Java. I wanted people to be able to put their own questions into the game. So if you were teaching maths, for example, and you wanted the questions to be harder than the questions that I had chosen, if you were playing one of my games and you wanted the question to be harder, I wanted you to be able to adjust that. I wanted you to be able to do the 12 times table, for example, instead of the 2 times table. And you couldn't do that with Java. You couldn't adjust it. So I moved to Unity, which you probably heard of. It's one of the biggest game engines on the internet. I'm new with Unity. Again, there's not a lot of coding in Unity. There is some coding, there's not lots. So if you want to make games with Unity, you totally can. And then after Unity, there's actual coding of games, which is a lot. So, in answer to your question, what platforms have I used? A lot. I've used Google Forms, then to Boomcards, then to Java, then to Unity, and then to coding editors. So they get more and more and more complex as you go. If anyone is interested, I'm quite happy to do a tutorial on any of these platforms to show you how I make my games. I'll do a walkthrough of how making a game. If people are interested, just DM me and let me know. It will be quite involved though, so it probably won't be a live. It will be a IGTV or a YouTube video. One of those. Anyway, so sorry, that was quite a lot on that question. Right. Another question I got. How does this look as a lesson? How does this look as a lesson? Well, I'm assuming you mean how do the games look as a lesson? I assume that's what you mean. Assumption, you know. So, how do the games look as a lesson? Well, it depends. If you have distance learning, for example, I think distance learning is probably what you mean, but we're talking about in classroom too. You would meet them in the classroom if you're doing Google Classrooms or Zoom or whatever one you're doing. You have a bit of a chat about what they're going to be doing, what they're going to be learning. You give them the link. So if it's Boomcards, you would give them the fast link. If you're using Java, you would give them the URL. If you made your own game in Unity, even if you use Google Forms, you'd still give them the URL. And then you would ask them to go and do it, go and play. Now, a lot of that is out of your hands, so you wouldn't be able to monitor it as closely. What I would do is have breakout rooms, if you're using Zoom, for example, and have them in there sharing their screens in turn in the breakout room, because it can get too confusing in the main room. And they can share their screens, and you can dip in and out of the main rooms to make sure that everyone's working together and doing the things they're supposed to be doing. Alternatively, you can have them go away, play the game, come back with their results. Or if you're having a multiplayer game, which, like I said, you can't do on Java and you can't do on Boomcards, but if you're having a multiplayer game, you as the teacher can join the game, play the game with them. And you will see how they're getting on, because you will be in the game with them, which I know sounds slightly odd, but you don't have to be a player that does very much. You can just be there to, make sure they're on task. That's distance learning. In the classroom, it looks slightly different because they'll have their own devices in the class with them. You can walk around and check that they're doing the work, and it's a lot easier in classroom, but a lot of us aren't in classroom at the moment. We're doing distance learning, so just that. So yes, that's how it looks in a lesson. If ever you ask me a question and I don't answer it because I'm confused about what you meant, please let me know, because a lot of people send me one-word questions and I don't really know what that means. Okay. Are they learning? Are they learning? Yes. Sort of. That again depends. The answer to most of these questions are depends. It depends it depends on the game you're playing. So I can only talk about my games. When they play my games, yes, they're learning. They are learning because my games require the children, the students, depending on their age and the game, require them to pick up knowledge, like actually make notes, write things down, take in the knowledge and use that knowledge to solve a problem later on, which will eventually lead them to escaping. If you want an example of this, please play my free teacher game on teacherescaperooms.com, which I will put in the comments. Please play that and you will see what I mean, because in that, you as a teacher have to learn things to escape from the school. You have to learn something. So yes, they are learning. They have to take information on board. They have to write it down or remember it, use it later. And then later on in the game, that information is going to become important and they need it. So yes, they are learning in my games. Other people do things differently. I can't speak for how other people set their games up, but I know a lot of them are assessment or review type games where they're not really learning, they're going back over it, they're reviewing it, which is fine as well. Having said that, I just realised I do have a couple of games where they aren't actually learning. For example, my multiplication games, they don't learn multiplication through the game. They practice questions. So I have a haunted pirate ship game, for example, and they have to get the pirate's wooden leg and throw it overboard to free the ghost pirate who's trapped on the ship. And anyway, to get the leg, they need to answer a particular multiplication question, and then they throw it overboard, and then they go and see the pirate, and the ghost pirate will tell them another multiplication question that will let them open the chest. So that's not learning as such, that's more revision. So the games can be either, but there can be a lot of learning in escape rooms. And like I said, if you play the one I made for teachers, you'll see what I mean, because there's a lot of, you as a teacher have to take a lot of information on board to escape that game. And I made it hard on purpose, intentionally made that game difficult, so that teachers could see the challenge that they can put into these types of games. I realise there's comments coming through on Twitter. I'm sorry I can't see, because Twitter was difficult to connect to this evening. I can't look at them at the moment. Sorry about that. Okay, so yes, they are learning, but it depends on the game. Okay. What else have I got here? What subjects do they do? What subjects and ages do they do? Again, depends. I think that's just my answer to everything. I personally, I do a lot of Key Stage 2, which is middle school for you guys, American guys. I do a lot of Key Stage 2, some Key Stage 1, very few early secondary, but I don't go, that's kind of my age bracket that I make them for. I do take requests. If people want a particular game, I will make it for you. Send me a request, I'll make it. I make you games. I like it, it's fun. I get them quite fast at it too, so that's good. Subjects, I do all subjects, all sorts of subjects. There are subjects I don't do. Maths, I do maths. I don't do music. I don't do PE. I don't know how you would do that in a digital escape room. Yes, I don't do music and I don't do PE. I think I cover all other subjects really. So yes, that's subjects and ages. Again, I have some rooms that require the teacher to put their own questions in. It's just a simple form, they write the questions in. And that way it can be any age, any subject. But, yeah. But like I say, I will make things for people if they want. Where can I download the games? I actually sell the games. You don't just download them, unfortunately. They take a lot of work and resources and money because I have to buy all the artwork. I'm not an artist. I don't make any of this artwork myself. I have to buy it. So if you want to buy them, I have a shop on TPT, Teachers Pay Teachers. I also have my own store, thegingerteacher.com. And you can buy it there. I have a membership, but it's not open at the moment. Membership allows you complete access to all my games as well as the ability to request games and have them made for you at no extra charge. You can get my games there. If you want more details about that, please DM me or comment on here, that's fine. Okay, where can you get them from? Right. How do you assess them? How do you assess them? I think I covered this in a previous live, but it's fine. So you would need, the way that works best for you is the simple answer. You're going to need to figure out how you would do this. So there's lots of options. You can, so think about the best way to answer this. So you can either use just reviewing after the game. Ask them how they did. Ask them how they got on, what problems they solved, what ones they didn't. Did they manage to get out? All these kinds of things are quite good assessment, just talking to them afterwards. If you want assessment during the game, you can have checkpoints where, coming back to the haunted pirate ship, did they find the ghost? If they get to that checkpoint, you know that they have answered a certain question. Did they manage to throw the wooden leg overboard? You also know that they answered certain questions to get to that checkpoint. That's another way to assess. A further way to assess is if you, again with the multiplayer games, if you're in the game with them during the lesson, it's possible to see how they're doing and take assessments that way. Sorry, I saw more comments coming on Twitter. Yeah, there's lots of ways to assess, and although at the moment I don't have built-in teacher assessment in my games, it is something that I've been asked about a couple of times, so it is a thing to work on in the future, but I have quite a lot going on at the moment, so it's not something I'm going to be doing right away, but it is on my to-do list. But yeah, there are ways to assess escape rooms, and particularly in the multiplayer, because you're there to see it with your own eyes. I hope that answered the question. Okay, and I've got a couple that are the same kind of question, so I won't answer that because I've already done that. Is it computer only? Because we have iPads in school. I assume you're talking about my games now, not just all games. I can't speak for anybody else's game. For the games that I make, yep, you can use them on any device. You can use them on mobile phones, tablets, computers, any device that you can access the internet on. Boomcards adapts to small screens by itself. It's great. It just does it for you. Java takes a little bit of coding, but it can be done. And I do it so that all the tablets and the computers, tablets, iPads, phones, they all have the screen adaptation. If you're going to start making your own games in a bit more detail, then you're going to have to learn how to adjust the screen size and make it compatible with that. But it's up to you how far you want to go. Like I said, if you want to use Boomcards, they do it all for you. Another reason that I recommend Boomcards. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Right, again, that's only for my escape rooms. I can't talk for other people's. I don't play a lot of other people's escape rooms. A, because I make my own, and B, because I don't want to copy anyone else. So there's always a temptation when you play someone else's games to take ideas, and we don't want to do that. Okay, so that's all my questions. Well, most of them. If I didn't answer your question, it's probably because it was very similar to another question that I already answered. Please feel free to DM me for questions next week. Now, oh dear, I'm over halfway through, and I didn't even get to the next bit. I do talk fast. Not fast enough, clearly. I'm going to talk now about a blog post that I'm actually setting up to go live tomorrow. Tuesday. Not tomorrow. Sorry about that. I've got a blog post that's going live on Tuesday. Sorry. And I want you to have a quick chat about some of the parts of that, and then you can have a read of that on Tuesday. So, what I've been asked quite a lot about is how to keep the engagement going. Because escape rooms are one thing. They're fun, they're a game, but when you come back into the lesson, back into the regular learning, how do you keep the momentum up, the escape room and the momentum going? So, first of all, peer-to-peer chatting, which I know doesn't sound incredibly groundbreaking, it's not. But the thing that we're missing at the moment, particularly with distance learning, is the classroom dynamic. And we're missing a few things, little things that we don't even sometimes notice that are there in the classroom dynamic, but when they're removed, they have an impact. So the impact that the things that we are missing and the things that are making an impact are things like peer-to-peer chatting. Now, students have so many ways that they can connect digitally. We're not taking that away from them. They can connect digitally. They can talk on WhatsApp. They can talk on Zoom. They can message each other. They've got so many things, Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok, which I've become completely addicted to. And they've got all these ways of talking to each other. But there's something very special about the kind of conversations, the very quick, snatched conversations that students have in the classroom when the teacher steps away to talk to somebody out the door. And they start to talk and they chatter very quickly. And it's very bonding, and it's also it's very intense. It's very quick. We've got to talk quickly because she's coming back. And it's not something we particularly encourage, but it does create a classroom community and it does keep engagement going. Also, when the student teachers come back and she's got to draw them back into the lesson, which can be a challenge in itself, the students are on a different place. They're in a different place. So if you come back from an escape room and you want to go back over the lesson, it's quite a good idea to give them the chance to talk about that escape room illicitly, if you like. If they're not part of the lesson, they aren't told to discuss the escape room, but you step away and let them have that. And the easiest way to do that is just a quick little, I'm just going to step away, we cover the camera, we'll just step away. And they can have a quick chat and then you can come back. And it's like leaving the room for a moment, but you're still there. So a lot of teachers won't like this, I get that. It's very valuable for creating classroom community, and I recommend doing it, but it's up to you. Okay, alongside this is using the chat. If you're particularly in Zoom, you can let them talk to each other in the chat. This can be distracting and it needs to be timed well, and it can really disrupt your lesson if not done properly. But giving them a chance to talk to each other and discuss things in the chat really does help them bring their personality back into the lesson, which can be hard in distance learning. So, okay, there's that. Raising of hands is another one that is often forgotten, particularly in Zoom. Get them to raise their hands, not just on camera, but with the little clicky button. Even the older kids, it just shows that they're there, they're participating. If you're a bit like me, you've talked to a sea of black screens with white names on. Anyone there? Raise your hand. It just gives a bit more of a... Actually take a physical action to do something, to show me that you're listening. Clapping and rhymes. Now, this again is for the younger ones, but older kids like it too. The rise of TikTok, and I've become obsessed with TikTok. The rise of TikTok shows that kids love this sort of thing. So just get them a bit more involved with rhymes, with song. And another nice thing to do is if you're having this escape room and then you're bringing them back into the lesson and you want to keep this engagement going, you want to keep this flow going, is to use songs that were in the escape room. So I use background music, but you can use any kind of thing. You can have it playing over the top of the room, have it continuing at a low level throughout the rest of the lesson, and it just carries that momentum with them. And it might not sound like anything, but it really is. This makes a big difference because the kids are associating the gameplay and the learning and the fun and the engagement they just had through your lesson. It's continuous. It carries them through. So that's that. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about digital stickers. I don't personally use them very much at all. I know some people that use them amazingly well, and they can be very rewarding because who doesn't love a sticker? I do. I like stickers. But real stickers, though. But digital stickers actually was something I was a bit not interested in until I saw them used and used effectively. And I think that if you are struggling with keeping kids engaged and the momentum, then digital stickers can well be worth their time. If you want some more information on digital stickers, let me know. I'm considering a blog post or just a live little chat, or you can just answer a question about it. And there's that. Okay, and very lastly, a little plug for a wonderful friend of mine, Pick Up and Go Resources on TPT. She makes pixel art mystery pictures. I probably said that completely wrong. Something appearing pixel art. I can't remember what it's called. She is my friend, I promise. She makes... You answer the questions and a picture appears, a bit like colour by numbers on the screen. And that's Pick Up and Go Resources. She's on TPT and TES. I recommend TPT. If you would like a link, I can happily supply you with one. Okay, right, I've gone just a little bit over. But it was great chatting with you. Oh, excuse me. If you have any questions, please DM me. Or you're welcome to leave a comment on here. And I will be back again next week with another live. Don't miss that. Next week I'm going to be talking about... I can't remember. Something important. I didn't write that on my notes. I'm going to talk about something next week. And I will answer all your questions again. And I don't mind. I know that some people messaged me and then said, oh, you answered that before. But I don't mind answering again. It's fine. And you're happy to watch I'm happy for you to watch my old lives as well. I think that's it. I hope you have a lovely rest of the weekend. And I will speak to you guys very, very soon. Bye.